Good morning. We're back.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Mike and Mollie in the morning. I'm Mollie.
I'm Mike.
We're father-daughter duo that owns a furniture store. Best friends. Enemies sometimes.
Yep.
So
Mostly friends, but occasionally.
mostly friends, yeah. Okay, so today we got a lot of interesting topics. I'm interested to see what Dad's got to say about, to talk about. Okay, so Dad, Grandma and Grandpa opened the store in 1956, as far as we know. No,
52.
1952.
52.
You were born in 1956, so the gray mill is older than you are.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about what it's like to
be
have...
this old sucks.
You know what? My favorite quote I've ever heard, and funny enough, it's your doppelganger, Danny DeVito, in a movie. Growing old is a privilege.
Yeah.
That's what he says in the movie Jumanji.
Really?
He, at the beginning of the movie, said it's a curse. By the end of the movie, he said it's a privilege. So,
Okay.
no. Okay, so have you ever had any other job in your life besides working at the store?
Nope.
I didn't.
I was a grass mower when I was a kid. Like
the neighbors and stuff?
Yeah.
Push mower?
Push mower and hand clippers. Yeah.
I know, like in the 60s, they didn't have like self-propelling mowers, did they?
Weed eater, none of that stuff.
Did even riding lawnmowers exist yet?
I don't know.
Really?
I can't remember.
So you mowed lawns when you were a kid. What'd you do with your money?
Spend it.
Of course.
Nope, I saved some of it. I got $3 a week from one of the neighbor ladies for mowing her grass.
Not very many kids mow lawns anymore.
No, but there must be a big business for it because every third car you see driving down the road has got a trailer with a mower on the back of it going somewhere. So I don't know
That's true.
if there's that many people that hire lawnmowers, but they're out there all over the place.
Yeah. So okay, so you've had one job your entire life. What is that like?
Oh, I know where I'm going every day. I don't have to worry about getting lost.
I think it's really interesting, and I think about it a lot. You know, we've been interviewing for delivery drivers, and you see so many applications where they have 6, 7, 8 jobs, big vacancies in their work history. And to us, that is not a desirable look, but it is the common kind of work experience that the younger generations especially go through. And it makes me very curious how you and Uncle Bill especially perceive one job for an entire career. Like, obviously, it's our family business. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You don't have the choice to be loyal. If you go into the family business, you're either going to stay forever or you're going to go. And we kind of, we have friends that own family businesses that they might work a 40-year career and then something goes sour and they're out. That's what we call the worst case scenario in the family business world. So you really can't even tell me anything because you don't have any reference other than mowing.
Nope.
I have not had very many jobs.
I was only like maybe 10 years old too when I was mowing.
Yeah. When did you start working for Grandma and Grandpa?
Full time the day after I graduated.
They didn't even give you a day off.
Yep.
Sounds just familiar.
And I was
He
told,
did that to me.
and then I was told, okay, here's your first paycheck. You can buy your own tires for your car, buy your own gas for your
They
car.
immediately cut you off.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, it's true. If you make them your own money, why should you expect somebody else to
Yeah. One of my
cover all the expense on it? But it was a good lesson.
So you worked delivery. This was what, 1974. Do you remember who you worked with? Were they older employees that been on the staff for a while and you were the newbie?
Back then, we had all firemen. Yeah. Larry Larimore and Frank Murray and Jerry Hall. And there was just Mike Bryan.
Super dependable, well-trusted. The customers loved them, strong.
Yep. So that's who I pretty much got trained with.
Yeah, and then didn't you tell me a story about going down to the fire department and gambling after work?
No, there was never any gambling going on. We just played cards. It was like Go Fish or
You played Go Fish. I doubt it.
yep. Used to visit the fire station quite often. I'd go down and I'd take wild game down there, and they would cook it, and have me down for supper after work. So, and then we'd play cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Bunch of good guys back then.
So what? Yeah. Back in that era, and everybody was just great.
Yeah. Yep.
What was it like working? You still lived at home with grandma and grandpa at that time and went to work with them every day. What was your dynamic with your parents?
Yeah, it was good.
It was probably good because you got to leave a lot doing the truck.
Yeah, I was mostly out of the store for, oh gosh, probably 4 or 5 years, I suppose. Worked the warehouse and delivery and unloaded trucks, did trash, swept floors.
What? This is really gonna test your memory. What was the heaviest, most pain in the butt piece of furniture you ever had to deliver? Anything pop into your mind?
Well, the one thing that sticks in my mind, hooker furniture was always super heavy. Had a couple incidents with that.
We miss them at market, sadly. This company is still in existence.
Yeah.
Hooker Furniture. Some of you might own some Hooker.
But probably the worst one was out at Walton. Customer still buys from us today, older. Thomasville dresser, bought a Thomasville bedroom suit. The dresser is what sticks in my mind because it was
it
back
like
then, most of them were 72-inch, was like
triple dressers?
Yeah.
Tiered?
Triple dressers, twin mirrors.
Just have that little vanity thing that sat on the top?
No, not really. Not on this one. It was just long and built like a brick shit house.
So many people still have those Thomasville bedroom suits too.
Yeah. Well, just like a hooker, I got it in my bedroom. Yeah, this stuff doesn't wear out. But it went upstairs in the bedroom, and it was an old farmhouse, and, they never thought about furniture back then. And, oh, my God, it was the heaviest, most complicated piece that I ever dealt with, I think. But I think my guys today have had worse situations. Well, just like 2 weeks ago, we had to take a king-size mattress through an upstairs window,
of an old farmhouse of a good friend of mine now.
Yeah, good friend of yours.
And she
take the window out.
They had bought a mattress online because they couldn't get it upstairs, and they couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah,
they've got 4 children. They are fabulous people, work very hard, live a pretty humble lifestyle, and she's just desperate. I can't sleep on this bed another day. I have no idea how to get it upstairs.
And a couple months ago, we was at Culver and had to go do the same thing with a sectional. The guys, I don't know, they figure out, somehow or other, they use the top of the truck. The old delivery truck's got a metal roof on it. The newer one's got fiberglass, I think. So they always take the older one and they climb it. They take a ladder and they lift the piece up from the inside over the top, and then once they get on top, somebody will be in the house, and I don't know. I never got into that. Of course, I probably just would have said, find somebody else to do it or wait till tomorrow, because I'm not getting up on that roof. I don't like heights.
Are you scared of heights?
Kind of.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, I will say, of all the furniture stores in the land, we have the absolute best delivery and install team right now. They're fabulous young men, oodles and oodles and oodles of compliments. If they're bringing furniture your way from the gray mill, they do accept tips, and they do deserve them.
Yeah.
Little shout out to the team there.
Yep.
So I've had a couple jobs in my life, but nothing extensive. I worked at my first job my first job was really just doing the oddball stuff at the Gray Mill back when I was a kid. I always loved money. It was very evident early in my life that I was going to be a worker. I loved money. Mom and Dad did not give me enough of it. And never let me buy what I wanted. So really young, I would go down there and just like stamp envelopes, put
back then we did
paperwork in alphabetical order.
We did all those direct mails.
Direct
We
mailers.
have 5,000 envelopes, so they had to be sealed. They had to be stuffed, and then they had to be sealed, and then they had to be stamped, and then what else? There's something else. But yeah, every time we did a direct mail, it was a lot of excess work.
Then I had, my waitressing job at B&K West here in Logansport. No offense, best job I've ever had in my life. No offense to you guys. I love my work at the store, but I just loved working there. And, obviously the owners, Brenda and Kim, are still like the dearest of friends to me. I really learned so much about work ethic from them.
Mm-hmm.
I continued to work there all through high school, all through college when I would come home. And I used to, after I started my career at the furniture store, would go on my days off just to help. That's how much I loved this job. Yeah. And I think it was mostly because I loved Brenda so much, but the money was so easy. And waitressing, like such a great precursor to a sales job also, in my opinion.
Right.
And then, had a couple jobs in college just to kind of make beer money mostly.
Yeah.
But I've only had 4 jobs in my entire life. And we are very, very rare nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Very rare. So leading into something you just mentioned, direct mail, another topic I want to ask you. We just kind of covered your career. Let's talk about the way advertising has changed over the 50 years that you've been at work. The biggest change, you mentioned direct mail, which is something that we really, really shy away from now. And that used to be a major way that you would get in touch with consumers for really big events.
Yeah, private sales and...
Gosh, the way the USPS is running these days, you couldn't even rely...
No.
On putting that in the mail and getting it somewhere timely.
Yeah, it was, back in the day you had, of course, we tried to reach out to the outlying areas. So you had your local paper and the small town paper, Rochester, Monticello, Winnemac, Peru.
Some of these communities don't even have a newspaper anymore now, or it's like a once a week. So if you're a small business and you have a message to get out, it's just progressively gotten harder and harder to rely on that type of print advertising to get also the newspapers. And what is sad, it's sad to me, maybe because I'm just an old school person, the newspapers do still exist online. And when you get online, your advertising messages is just so oversaturated with a bunch of other competing advertising. And I think the everyday internet user is really kind of numb to all the advertising because it's so much. So it's a really hard platform to get your message across. But people just get their news in such different ways now. A lot of people get their news off of like local Facebook pages. We have the Cass County Communications Network. Our newspaper, the Ferris Tribune, does do a really great job with especially local news.
I don't know anything about their online presence.
I know. My dad's never used Facebook. Can you believe that?
No Facebook.
Facebook, as Tony tells me, is literally only 3% of internet users. Is that still correct? Are using Facebook?
No, it's just 3%. About 3% of people who follow.
So it's becoming a much more challenging platform to advertise on. Remember?
Well, but then you look at print, like, that Heartland magazine for the longest time, it was published and it comes in Logan Sports paper every other month.
Mm-hmm. It's a 2-month issue.
In Kokomo. And it just seemed like, that would come out. It's a little different type of advertising and other than just regular newsprint. And people were reading it. We got comments all the time, every time we had an ad in there, which was every month. I mean, we kind of got into a contract with them. But here lately, it seems like that's even faded off. I don't know.
I think that's a great magazine. If you see your Heartland magazine anywhere in the Kokomo, Logansport kind of area, it focuses on our area of North Central Indiana, and it's a lifestyle magazine filled with a bunch of current events in 2-month issues. So especially summertime, like so much great information, places to go, festivals, weekend events, restaurants.
A lot of recipe pages in the back. Robin does. She does a good job with that.
Good customer of ours edits the newspaper, or the
editor.
The Heartland magazine. It's a free publication. If you ever see it, pick it up. Check out your Gray Mill advertising in there too.
Yeah.
What did you think back in the day, like when I started dabbling into Facebook for the store?
I didn't have a clue what it was all about. I mean,
for years I remember like very consistently.
I know we seen like these immediate
results from it.
It's like, how is this even happening?
It was so hard for you and Uncle Bill to figure out.
Before we get too far off the subject, I got for sure gone on vacation last week, and I got a thing in the mail about postcards. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. And I looked at the information on it. It was an advertisement for mailing, and I looked at it and I thought, well, I'll just go to their website and just see what. It was really bizarre because you talk about this, your electronic information that you guys, younger generation, gathers and goes after. Well, these were what appeared to me as being younger people. Well, I get on the website, and don't quote me, I can't tell you exactly what happened, but I could not go there to see product without answering these questions.
Yeah, because they're filtering in your points of interest.
Son of a bitch. Well, okay, so
those sneaky guys.
Yes, it was like, this is really, these guys have got their shit together, because anybody that's going to visit their website, they're going to hook up with.
It's amazing. You can get
so I go through there, and I don't know. I get to the point where, of course, me being older, I kind of get frustrated, and I just locked out of it. Right? I just closed it out. I'll bet it wasn't 5 minutes.
They served you an ad, didn't they?
And my phone rang. And it was like, you just visited such and such and such.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And it just, it sounds like some kid about your age. And it was like, it kind of blew my mind.
Nothing that you do on the internet is hidden from
it was amazing.
So, I was probably one of the first. I was the Facebook generation. I was in college in 2004, right when Zuckerberg launched Facebook. So I obviously had just experienced, and it makes me actually kind of sick that I've been on that platform for over 20 years. It's 20 years old, 2004 to 21 years old. But I was one of the premier businesses when they launched the business platform. Our Facebook business page is extremely old. Find us on Facebook, Instagram now, YouTube, The Gray Mill, and Gray BL's Carpet Plus. Give us a like and a follow. Catch all your favorite Mike and Mollie episodes on there. But it amazes me every time I log on to that page and post on that page how actually long we've been using that. And it was a game changer for business traffic, especially at that point, and getting people in the door in a way that we hadn't really experienced since the era, like the golden era of the newspaper.
Right.
We have one specific.
Temper Sealy, they're on top of
the social media
Yes.
content. Yeah.
And they kept pushing this and pushing this. Oh, you got to get a site there. And
I hear a funny story. I went to market. We went to market in 2009 to Furniture Market in High Point, and that whole entire year was really the year that social media was really becoming big for businesses. And I went to all of these, what are they called? Meetings,
Seminars,
meetings. Yeah. How-tos. And it was 2009, and they said, oh, you've got to get this hot new thing. It's called Twitter. And I had learned about Twitter in my entrepreneurship class at Purdue University when it was a startup. So I had, some preliminary information about Twitter. We'd studied the startup concept, how they'd funded, what their plans to do were. So you've got to get on Twitter. So I come back and, you're a designer, you own a furniture store. This is the next big platform for engaging with customers, other business owners, other interior designers to get your message across. So I come home and what do? I naturally start a Twitter. There was literally no one in like 100-mile radius in Indiana on Twitter.
On Twitter.
And I didn't ever get into Twitter, and now Twitter is in a totally different era.
Yeah.
And I never ended up using it or connecting with a single person on there. Wow. I did try though. But yeah, we're kind of in just an odd little spot where I remember Barb Goyer told me probably when I was like 18 years old at the store. Barb was our old interior designer, and she worked almost her entire career with us. At the store, she did our custom window treatments for us and did all of our interior design work, did buying, merchandising. Fabulous, fabulous woman we loved dearly. She told me back in probably like 2004 when I was interning from senior year of high school to the Gray Mill, she says, by the way, Logansport is at least 5 to 7 years behind trend. So if you really fall in love with something, don't buy it for 5 years, and then it'll be stylish in Logansport. It was about the same with Twitter, Facebook. Yeah. Facebook was a little different.
We've seen that in the furniture categories, the same thing. We'd go to markets and you'd see this, this most beautiful collection, something different, and Fontana from Broyhill. You still see it all over the TV shows, sitcoms.
It's actually really weird when you watch TV and you can ID the furniture.
Oh, it is. That is crazy.
I also really love when
Fraser's Barca Lounger, yeah.
I love when I watch now Netflix shows or Paramount shows and I see home decor or furniture that we have in the store, and I'm like so proud of myself.
Yep.
Got that in the store.
Got that
right now.
That.
Look at that.
Yeah. But I don't know how many times we bought stuff that, was the hottest thing going.
Yeah.
It would arrive in our store and it would set. And
still to this day, this happens. Yeah. Like, okay, let's talk about that beautiful forest green leather Chesterfield from Smith Brothers of Bern. I bought this thing literally the second that I saw it at the show, the whole entire set. I bought the sofa, the accent chairs. It was the most beautiful, rich color. It was the color that I have all through my house, that forest green. Green was going to be the next big thing. I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
It sat and it sat and it sat. And the person that bought that got it for such a fabulous deal. And now green, of course, 5 years later, is the color that everybody is buying finally. But it was a little bit before our time, and nothing.
Over and over.
Of
course, the furniture styles now, you don't see these knocked dead
Chesterfields,
gorgeous collections come out like used to be in the past.
Much more casual now. Of course, we've talked about mix and match. Everything's very casual. Now, they are saying that homeowners are craving traditional design again because of the character that it brings into the home. And they are kind of profiling that deep, real moody colors are going to be coming back because everybody is really over the light, neutral era
We've seen a lot of
that the pandemic brought us. Yeah.
dark greens and the dark blues down there at Market. Blue's been around for a while.
Blue has been around forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about how, if you're a customer and you're out in the market, you're going around to different furniture stores, what's your best advice to someone to be able to tell if the piece of furniture they're looking for is quality? They can't use the internet to Google it. No GTSing. What would you give as advice to be able to kind of ID without getting a sales associate to help them? I've got an answer. I want to see if you come up with the same one.
Well, that's a tough one, because if you go by price, you don't know if you're getting gouged or not.
Correct.
Okay. If you go by weight, you don't know, because in a lot of cases, depending on the wood, solid wood is not as heavy as compressed wood.
You're lying to me.
Oh,
I do not believe that for a second.
you don't?
No, because that was what my answer was. Good furniture is heavy. And I guess I'm totally wrong. Okay, so enlighten us. Teach me.
Okay, so example. I've seen furniture made just like this. Say this dining room table, for an example. This is solid. You can look at the edge of it and see how the pattern of the board is all the way down through the side of it. So the graining, by the graining and by what you see on the edge.
It's continuous, so it's
But I've seen constructions done with a band of solid wood, 4 inches in, 2 inches in. They band it out. They drop in particle board in the center. They veneer the wood over the top of the particle board. That particle board, depending on the density, HDM, high density or heavy density material, or MDF, medium density fiber.
I never knew that that's what that stood for. I feel like an idiot.
But it's just it's
LDF,
bunch of wood chips that are slathered with glue and they're pressed together. But that stuff is very heavy. Couple of them, and it's mainly what the imports do. Some of that stuff we got down there that they make it beautiful on the outside. But boy, if it gets chipped or dented or something,
or wet, you're in serious trouble. So, that stuff's gonna.
So there's a couple things. If the store allows you, turn it upside down or open it up or whatever, you can
knock it.
Yeah.
And tell, usually from the sound that
get
you
under the seat cushions and actually, find out what, if it's solid like this and your cushion just lays on top, well, then they, without a spring unit, that's not going to be a good quality piece. So, I don't know.
It's hard.
If it's upholstered, if it's wood, you can pull the drawers out. You can tell.
I'm telling you, man, my number one go-to is it heavy?
It's the weight, yeah.
I suppose
That's usually a good way of judging it. But then we want to look and see if you can determine that's all wood.
But I suppose I do look at joinery, things like that. And especially tables.
Yep.
When we go shopping.
Drawers.
I look at drawer construction.
Drawer construction now, those change with these self-closing drawers and such. You don't see the dovetailing like you used to.
No, and I think that dovetailing in drawer construction is so important.
Yeah. But the side-guided construction with the self-closing, they're still building a very substantial drawer. They just kind of redesign it so that they can get the mechanism in there to open and close the drawer by itself, or You know what I'm saying? I'll pull
Yeah.
myself
Look
back
at
in.
the thickness of the drawer panels themselves. Are they solid? I suppose there's
Yes.
some good things you could look at as well.
Right.
Is it finished all the way around? Cheap furniture is not finished all the way around at all. With veneers and laminates, you can actually see seaming on some of them. Cheap veneers, I suppose good veneers are kind of continuously flowing.
Right.
Okay, so here's a fun little thing I came up with. I'm going to set a timer, and I want to see how many pieces of furniture you can name in 30 seconds. Okay. Do you
What
need
do you
time
mean
to
name?
prepare?
What do you mean name?
Name pieces of furniture.
Styles or pieces of furniture?
Pieces of furniture.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm having trouble here with this timer. So chest, dresser, sideboard. How many do you think you can get? I bet you can get 10.
I would hope I could get more.
I would too after 50 years, but we're about to find out. Okay, ready? Set, go.
Dresser, chest, mirror, headboard, nightstand, sofa, love seat, chair, recliner, ottoman, curio cabinet, grandfather clock, end table, cocktail table, chair side end, rocking chair, dining room table, dining room bench, console, swivel glider,
Keep going, 5 seconds.
mirror, painting.
Stop. Oh my God, a painting? That's not a piece of furniture.
Well, fine. I'm looking around your room. I'm picking all
Oh my
this
God,
shit.
you cheater. Okay, I said 10. How many do you think you got?
25.
You cheater, you looked.
No,
23 pieces. And I'm pretty sure I think you like doubled up on one, but I'll give it to you. I'm very impressed. I don't want to do that game, so
No.
no. Okay, so our YouTube page is now live. You need to check us out. It's Under the Gray Mill. You can find it searching Mike and Mollie in the morning. You're gonna find all of our full length videos, plus some other great Gray Mill content. Eventually, I'm gonna upload an archive of all of our commercials over the last about 10 to 15 years, which will be really fun. I tried to get Dylan to come on the pod today. Dylan's home for summer. My daughter, she's starred in many of our successful commercials. She said no.
Yeah. Speak of the devil, she's sneaking up behind us.
Yeah, come here. Hi, Dylan. Good morning. Welcome to Mike and Mollie. How are you today?
I'm good.
You're doing good.
Yeah.
You've always wanted to be a YouTube star. Now's your time to shine. How's that feel?
It feels good.
Speak up.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
You just tell me your honest to God answers, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so you're growing up in a furniture store, just like Mommy did, and just like Pa and Uncle Bill did. What is that like for you as a 10-year-old kid?
For me, I get to play around with my friends and it kind of feels like my home.
Like the store?
Yeah, I sometimes ask my mom if we can spend the night there. She always says no because it's haunted. But,
What's your favorite thing to do at the Green Mill?
I like doing YouTube videos or doing back handsprings.
You do a lot of gymnastics at the store, don't you?
How about the bedroom? The bedding room?
I like to flip on the beds
Yeah.
a lot.
Dylan's favorite piece of furniture in the house is her bed. That's not.
Yeah. Basically.
Well, and we got that mega chase down there.
Yeah, the Mega Chase is my favorite thing in the Gray Mill.
Get a
Is that your favorite piece of furniture right now?
Yeah.
snuggle up in there with your laptop and yeah.
So, Dylan, do you remember how old you were when you started in your first commercial for us?
3.
You were 3. Do you remember that day at all?
Yeah, I was wearing a cute little dress with my hair curled up in a bow or something like that.
Yeah, what did we do? Do you remember? We were jumping on the beds. What's it like to be a kid that's on TV?
It feels good because I'm a star already. So,
Did the kids at school say anything or at practice ever?
at practice, one girl saw me on TV, and at school, well, a bunch of people see me on TV.
Is that weird when people say they've seen you on TV?
No.
It's pretty normal to you, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's your favorite commercial that you've been a part of so far?
Actually, probably the one that we took in the warehouse.
You were standing on all the big boxes yelling at your mom.
Like I always do.
Yeah.
Hobby.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. The last time, though, you stood us up.
Why?
A couple of weeks ago, you were supposed to do one, and you...
Okay, well, I had a test. So,
You put school in front of making a commercial.
yeah.
That was the most responsible thing you've done in your entire life.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I learned. That's like important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My teachers probably would have killed me. Shout out to them.
Who's your favorite owner at the Gray Mill?
My mom.
Mommy?
My mom. My mommy.
Thank you.
You better say that.
My mommy.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, isn't it, Dill? Yeah.
Do you have any crazy fun stories you want to share with everybody?
It happened at the store.
That happened at the store. So, this one is kind of sad, but kind of funny, but not really funny at all. I was little, and I had this little kid with me. We were jumping on the beds.
Our employees' son.
Yeah. Let's just say he was really little, and then we were jumping on the bed, and well, he fell, and his mouth hit the side of the bed, and his mouth started bleeding, and I felt so bad. That's one of the stories.
It scared you.
It scared me.
Do you know what my favorite story? I'll let Paul tell this story of Dylan at the furniture store is.
Oh, I wouldn't tell.
I want Paul to tell.
Yeah, I
It's funny.
Yeah, she thought she was Superman or something. Yeah, she was up on the customer counter, which is 40 inches
Like it's
high.
like
Yeah.
4 feet high.
Yeah.
And I
And there's-
decided I was a superwoman, and I thought I was able to do this, which I was, because I have those legs. But it was like wide. It was probably as wide as this bench right here. That's right here. I decided to jump to the counter to the couch. I got in trouble, but it was really.
How much trouble did you get in?
Yeah.
It was not a lot.
Paul put you in timeout at the furniture store.
You did?
That's only happened one time in life.
He did?
Yeah.
What are you doing out there on the counter? Nothing. Then she jumps off the counter over the aisle and lands on that love seat on the other side.
There was no customers.
I know, but you could have broke your neck too.
That was insane.
Okay, I landed on my butt.
Did you?
Yeah.
I thought you laid on your feet.
So did I.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Captain.
Yeah.
Good job, Dylan. So on that note, Dad,
Yeah.
this is my favorite topic.
Uh-oh.
I've been wanting to talk about this forever, and I hope he'll forgive us in advance. But since we talked about crazy things that my daughter has done at the furniture store, let's talk about my brother.
Yeah. What about it?
So I have a younger brother, and when we were growing up, my mom stayed home. She didn't work. She worked from home every now and then, and she, by the end of the week, would get really tired of having me and my brother at home. So she'd drive us into town and drop us off at the store. So I said, let's talk crazy furniture stories starring none other than Joey. I've got a list of them, but
You
let's
do?
see what you come up with.
Well, probably the craziest one was the grandfather clock.
Okay, yes. So that is the number one story on my list. And I'm going to let you tell it because I was not there. I only heard about it. But this story is absolutely legendary for anybody that grew up with their parents owning a retail store, you're going to have a story really similar to this.
Yeah. Well, he was up coming down the stairway, and he had a rubber band gun like he put between his fingers, and like we used to shoot spitballs through it.
Well, I thought it was a paper airplane. Wasn't he really into paper airplanes at this time?
Well, it could have been. My memory's not as good as it used to be.
Joey, you need to chime in the comments and let us know the true details of it.
I thought it was something that had the paper clip on it, and when he shot it, it hit the glass on the grandfather clock.
This is the story that I heard.
Yes.
Joey was in his era of paper plane building, and I think we went to Catholic school, so I think that they'd had like some lesson or maybe like arts and crafts or something where they were making like these beefed up paper airplanes, and he had made a really spectacular paper airplane, and one of the keys to this specific style was you slid a paper clip in the front and made it like front heavy so it would glide further. And Joey came down the stairs and threw this paper airplane, and it proceeded to float through the store all the way to the front and hit the grandfather clock. And what happened to the grandfather clock when the paper airplane hit it?
The glass broke on the door.
Shattered. A brand new. And then this is the era of grandfather clocks. So they're thousands of dollars. And the employee that worked for us at that time that told me was like, you could have heard a pin drop in this store as this glass just shatters. Do you remember anything else of like what he did? Did he just like run off?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he was like,
holy shit.
Okay, so now this is hysterical. Joey is absolutely legendary. One of my favorite stories. And Ed Castor, I know you're watching. Ed Castor, another fabulous employee, worked almost an entire career with us. We were really, really little. And it was me, Joey, and then Kate, which is my uncle, our business partner's youngest child. At the store, we were young. I mean, maybe 8, which Joey, no, we had to have been older.
Yeah.
Me and Kate were probably 10, 11, and Joey was 6. And we were playing hide and seek in the furniture store. And somebody, it was not me, and it was not Kate, put a lob of gum under a chair cushion in the chair room. And Ed somehow finds this piece of gum as he's like, I don't know why he was even looking. I'll have to ask him sometime. He opens up this back of this chair and finds this huge wad of gum stuck in the fabric. He is furious and he starts yelling at us, and I'm the one he caught, and he caught me by an ear and drug me through the entire store. And I kept going, you're not my dad. And he's like, you better be happy I'm not your dad. Joey did it in the end. Joey did it. I got in trouble for it. Okay, so let's take this one back.
Wow.
My brother is the sweetest human being you'll ever meet. This story is hardcore ratchet and makes him sound like something really scary. But let's talk about the old people lounger and Joey with the carving knife.
Well, he was only 2, I think.
What kind of parents were you is what I want to know. But
Well, you guys were very well behaved. We told you to stay away from certain things, and you did. That particular moment, he evidently didn't.
We grew up
hungry, and
listen, you got to give him all the deets. We grew up with the most beautiful teal blue leather furniture in our living room. And my mom and dad, it was fairly new when this story happens.
Yeah.
But it's this real bright, unique teal blue leather people lounger reclining couch and chair.
What year was
This had to have been like 1991.
Yeah.
He was born in 89, maybe 1992 that this happens. Okay, so here's the buildup.
Mauve and teal sofa and matching rocking recliner. And Joey gets up, and his answer, you know what his why did you do that? You know what he said? Because I was hungry.
So he was going to eat. Tell him what he did. You need
So
to tell him.
he got in the drawer and got a knife out. And we had a watermelon on the counter. And he wanted to get a piece of watermelon. So he cut him a piece of watermelon. And then he went down and decided to,
Proceeded to play with the knife.
practice on the back of the chair with the knife. And he just, and any of you that know have a recliner, the back of it's kind of hollow because the chair's going to move. So there's just a swatch of fabric that goes down, but there's nothing behind it. So he proceeds to take the knife, poke it through the leather, and slice it. And then he pulled it out and he went beside it and poked it through the leather and sliced it. So it had like, I think 3 or 4 slices in it.
It pretty much looked like leather fringe by the end of it.
Yeah.
So mom has always told me, hey, why was nobody watching your toddler with a knife
Yeah.
cutting your fancy furniture? Probably was supposed to be me, and I'm sure I was just not.
No, you were
Watching
probably
him.
still in bed. It happened pretty early in the morning. And, nobody had ever fooled with that drawer. Everybody was taught to stay away from it. But,
Mom's always said she saved that piece of leather. They got the chair fixed, and she was going to give it to my brother's wife when they got married. So she knew what she was in for. And I know she didn't give it to Cassie because Joey's married
yeah,
now.
probably forgot where she put it at.
We need to try to find it and give it a little guest starring role on the show.
Yep.
Okay, last but not least, because we're out of time for today. And you might not be the right Graybeal brother to ask this story too, but do you remember the story about when one summer Joey was working for our flooring company, Graybeal's Carpet Plus? They were doing a local school
Delphi.
20 miles away from here. And our head installer could not find Joey anywhere. Where is Joey? Where is Joey? He looked through this whole school. He found him like an hour later, and Joey was asleep in the back corner of a classroom on top of an air conditioner. The boss's son.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
They worked hard down there, though. I don't know. He must stay up.
They did. Installing flooring is really, really, really hard work.
Yeah.
He probably didn't
Yeah.
stay up late.
Yeah. Well, the good thing with that boy, though, I mean, back in that day, there was a lot. That was before the Amish products were so prevalent in the marketplace. And all the American products had, the good manufacturers had shut down for the most part. And we had a lot of overseas product that would come in knocked down. In other words, you had to build your own. And that was one of his gifts that he was born with. He could open a box with all these parts in it and basically just glance at the direction and boom, he could have it together. I still today, I got to sit there and look and look and look and look, but he just had a knack for that, whether it been tables or chairs or dining rooms or whatever. It just
He can always do that way faster than anyone else, too.
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
Yep.
I mean, who out there has had to build your own furniture?
Yeah.
Especially if you're on a budget, you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
that's the IKEA way.
Yeah.
Like one of the funniest memes I've ever seen is, can your marriage survive a purchase from IKEA? But Joey could do that. I mean, the only key to doing that is literally following the directions. You have
Yeah, but look
you have to read the directions like 35 times.
Yeah.
To,
Just like that stuff we built in your office back there. Oh my God. That was a booklet of directions, not just one page. And yeah.
I think the number one.
That's why I kept saying, whenever you got anything serious to build, wait until you can hook up with Joey and get him over here.
Yeah.
Because it'll just take all the pressure off of you and the headaches. Well, remember the swing set?
Oh, that's true. He had to come help with that too,
Yeah.
didn't he?
Yeah, he went through that with no trouble at all. Weird.
It's really a gift. But coming back to these, like if you're at home and you're building your own furniture, read the directions. If your husband says he doesn't need them, he's full of it. Don't listen to him. Don't even do that. But the most important mistake that people make is using the wrong screws.
Yep.
Each screw has a specific length, width.
Yeah. Usually everything's got a parts list.
Yes,
The
you
first thing you
have
do
got
is
to use the
Get
right
everything
screws.
out of the box, everything out of the box, everything unwrapped, laid out in order, and make sure that everything is there.
And those
before you-
labels on them, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, are there for a reason. Do not take them off, because you are going to be in a bad
Oh,
way if you
boy.
do.
Isn't that true?
I know.
Not
So-
until you get it built. Then you can peel the labels off. Crazy.
So that's it for today. We don't have anything else. Anything else you want to cover?
I don't.
We'll be having Bill on soon, so look forward to that. Popular demand. The people want to see our partner, Bill.
Yep.
Bill,
How come your brother's not on?
yeah,
Well, because he's scared of microphones and cameras.
it's true. We're going to have to bribe him with booze and food, maybe.
Yeah, he'll do fine. He just needs some practice.
I know. I've got a whole great list of topics here for Billy Boy.
Oh, boy.
So look forward to that soon. We're glad to talk to you today. Hope you guys have a great week.
Yep. Have a good day. Thank you.